The beginning of the presidency of Donald Trump marks the beginning of a new era in the international system and in international relations, because President Trump is prepared to exercise personal diplomacy and, among other things, attempt and reach a solution for the Ukrainian crisis. But this methodology contradicts the one of his predecessor, President Joe Biden, and this is generating serious concerns in Europe about when, how, and if the Ukrainian imbroglio might be resolved. So as things are right now, what is happening is that President Trump is talking to President Putin, and there are meetings taking place between the American and the Russian delegation, and at the same time the American government is talking to the Ukrainian government, but talks which are taking place between the Ukrainian government and the Russian government are not taking place. So it is too early to suggest up to what extent this new methodology of President Trump could bring some results to the Ukrainian crisis. It is a very good thing that Russia is talking to the United States, but at the same time we have to be very skeptical, because the real problem that exists in the international system is that there is a country, Russia, which completely violated the UN Charter, and it will be a significant problem that this country might be able in the future to suggest that it is able to achieve political objective by invading another country and by using military means. Although at the same time, it is certainly significant for this war to end and for people to stop getting killed. President Donald Trump is exercising a type of diplomacy in international affairs, which is certainly having an impact on EU's role in the world. And that is because President Trump does not really value the role of the European Union in the international system, which is nothing new. This had been his approach also during his previous administration. But I would say that this policy of President Trump might be an opportunity for the European Union, because the European Union, as a matter of principle, wants to act autonomously in the international system. So I would say that the presidency of Donald Trump might be a challenge, but also an opportunity for the European Union to make steps that otherwise would not have made under much better conditions. So it is a very good thing for the European Commission that it is preparing a plan to rearm Europe, that it is paying a lot of emphasis on technological affairs, because the European Union deserves a special and strong place in the international competition between the United States and China. And obviously the Ukrainian crisis is an issue of high interest for the European Union, and the European Union wants to be sure and determined for the day after that its security might be protected under a changes and within a changing world. As long as the conflict in Ukraine continues, like more than 3 years after the beginning of the invasion of Russia, there are very, very tough dilemmas for Ukraine. Because on the one hand, the invasion is continuing, and we know very well who started this invasion. At the same time, however, it is quite significant for Ukraine and also for Russia to see that hostilities will come to an end. However, a historical experience, especially since 2014, suggests that it's particularly difficult to reach a ceasefire that will be preserved. There were attempts in the past to sign agreements, including a possible ceasefire, but these agreements were violated. So what we need right now is to make sure that a possible ceasefire will be preserved, which is a very difficult thing. And from the moment this can be step number one, then for parties involved in the conflict to make additional steps in order to open the door for a peaceful agreement. This will require peacekeeping forces to be deployed in Ukraine, as well as security guarantees for Ukraine. And within this context, the role of the European Union will be highly significant. It is certainly important to suggest that President Trump remains committed to the NATO security, to NATO as an organization. He demands from European allies to pay more, but from the moment European allies are prepared to pay more, which is what is happening, the United States will be there. So this is a good thing despite the current turmoil in the international system.